Ephesians 4:25. Therefore, having put away falsehood, let each of you speak the truth, circle truth, with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be angry, circle angry. Be angry and do not sin, circle sin. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and give no opportunity to the devil. Circle the devil. Let the thief no longer steal, but rather let him labor, circle labor, doing honest work with his own hands. Why would we have to do that? So that he may have something to share with anyone in need. Let no corrupting, circle corrupting, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for the building up as it fits the occasion, that it may give grace, circle grace, to those who hear. Underline verse 30. And do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. So let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor, basically means chaos, and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another as God in Christ forgave you. So on Super Bowl Sunday, this is going to be a great Sunday to speak on a couple things. Ready? Actually, three things. We're going to look at three things today, and it actually perfectly aligns with this day. Number one, what comes out of your mouth? Number two, what do you get angry about? And the last thing we're going to look at is, what are the things you have to have that you'll do anything to get? Number one, let's look at it. When Jesus changes your life, look at me. When Jesus changes your life, there's a couple things that have to be true of you. So for some of us in here, we're like, I'm not a Christian. I don't even know if there's a God. I'm just kind of checking this stuff out. I don't even know anything if you're saying if it's even true. Cool. You're in the right spot. You're in the right spot to discover the things about God. If God's even real, all those kinds of things. You're in the right church. But for those of us that God has done that in our lives, here are things that should be true of us. And the first thing is, number one, if you're new in Jesus, you should have new speech. This is going to be listen to me. I'm front loading the sermon with the toughest thing first. Because if you can get control in this area, you can literally know that Jesus is at work in your heart. Because watch, the things that come out of your mouth start in your heart first. The things that go to your thumbs start in your heart first. Because texting and Facebooking and Snapchatting is an extension of your heart. And so Paul's going to tell us something here today. Watch, and the very first one's going to be the most difficult for almost all of us, is how do I control the things that come out of my mouth? Because if Jesus is in here, then he should come out here too. But oftentimes we think, Jesus is in here, but he doesn't control anything that comes out of my mouth or comes out of my thumbs. And Paul would say, that's impossible. If Jesus is in here, he'll affect this and he'll affect this. So let's look at it. Number one, you should have new speech. So the church at Ephesus, the Ephesians, which is what I just read out of this book, Paul wrote this letter to them 2,000 years ago to this church. And let's see if their life parallels ours. The Ephesians came from a me first and success at any cost type of culture. where morality changed with the situation. Sound like any cultures you know of? Me first. Well, you first, but after me. We live in a culture of, it's really all about me. And who do I have to step on to get where I'm going? Who do I have to take advantage of to make this money? Or to make this thing happen? Or to make myself look better? I don't really care if you have to look bad. We live in a culture of, it's all about me. I don't actually really care what happens to you. Financially, relationally, it doesn't really even matter to me, as long as I get mine. Ephesus was the exact same kind of culture 2,000 years ago as the culture that we live in today, especially in the West. The church was made from many different social classes. There was sailors, military, politicians, merchants, slaves, very wealthy, and very poor. So in Ephesus, there was a huge range of social classes. And in our country, so we're kind of fighting over everybody should be able to get the same thing, healthcare and money and blah, blah. Like, why doesn't everybody have $1 million? Like, we kind of live in that kind of culture right now where it's like, we're kind of heading towards socialism, which is like, let's just give everybody everything and everyone will finally be happy. Well, what we don't kind of realize is we live in a culture that is super flat for the most part. Like, you could come here from another country, and when you become a citizen of the United States, you can build your own business. You can go from literally dirt and, living off of nothing in Bulgaria and move to New York City and make salsa for a living and become a millionaire. Like, you could make a whole new life for yourself in the United States. That's not true in Ephesus. Ephesus had severe social classes where, like, if you were down at the bottom, there was no way you were working your way up to the top. There's no lottery. There's no way you're going to go from there to here as far as social status goes. So our country's pretty flat in comparison to Ephesus, which was very extreme. So anybody in the Navy in here? Anybody done any Navyites in here? Okay, got a couple. So Ephesus was a port city. And if you've ever been in the Navy, where they ship you around all over the world, you got a bunch of young men all packed on a ship together. And every time they port somewhere in the world, it's awesome when you're in the Navy because you get to see the whole world. What's funky as far as being in the Navy is you got to be there with hundreds of guys on a ship alone in the middle of the ocean, and then all of a sudden you dock in a port, and it's like party time. I got my $53 I made. Where can I spend it? And so Ephesus, the exact same way. They're a port city. A lot of money flowed through Ephesus from sailors, military, politicians. Famous orators from Greece came through Ephesus. So Ephesus was a cosmopolitan city where famous people rolled through. So in this city, you've got a bunch of money, you got a bunch of bored young men, you got a bunch of immorality, you've got a bunch of the bottom level people to the top level people, all interacting inside of this city. So Paul writes to the church in this city and says this: you have to control how you speak. What comes out of your mouth has to be controlled by the Spirit of God. You can't say, I have no control over my mouth, but have the Spirit of God controlling my life. It actually doesn't even happen. Because your mouth is an overflow of your heart. Your thumbs are an overflow of what's true inside of your heart. All you have to do is go back and look at your Facebook feed or scroll through your texts or scroll through your Snapchat or whatever and look at the pictures you've sent and the conversations you've had. And that'll tell you how you view life. If it's F-bombs and naked pictures, you can pretty much be sure Jesus wouldn't have sent that. So it's a really easy litmus test to go, is Jesus running my life? What things do I speak about or text about or email about? Because at the end of your fingers, at the end of your tongue, is either Jesus or you. And Paul says here, in this cultural context, there's a lot of immorality, there's a lot of things you could be talking about, a lot of jokes you could be sharing, a lot of things that are going on in Ephesus, just the way there is in our culture. Is Jesus controlling a believer's mouth or no? I want you to see the layout of Ephesus. We'll be looking at this over the next few weeks, but I want you to see how Ephesus was laid out. So you see the harbor way up there in the left-hand side, left corner. And they would do a lot of, regular port things, offload, onload there at the beach. And at Ephesus, look at that stadium. It's seated about, you pull me back just a little bit? Pull me back just a little bit? At Ephesus, they had this stadium that seated about 20,000 people. And it was white marble, and it overlooked the water. And so, imagine you're watching the Super Bowl, and you're like, if the game's really lame, you're like, who cares about that? I'm just going to look out on the water. It was like one of the sweetest places to sit. And so imagine you get to walk inside this auditorium, or this whole stadium, and if you made your way into the city of Ephesus proper, to the right-hand side there, they did a lot of economic things there, a lot of the political things went on to the right. As you got to the end of that little first stretch right there, on the right-hand side was the library of Celsus. And as you worked your way up through Ephesus, the rich people lived on the right-hand side. So you see that kind of block of houses to the right there. We're going to take a look at those a little bit later, but that's where all the rich people lived. It was up on this hill. It overlooked the harbor. It overlooked the stadium. And so imagine in this culture that you're looking at, that it'd be really easy to talk about things that were ungodly. Jesus is calling right now to let you know that you got to watch your mouth. The things I'm talking about are true. So as you're walking through Ephesus, you're seeing all the wealth. You might not have any money. You might be dirt poor, or you might be a sailor that's like, I'm just moving, somebody else's merchandise through different ports, and I don't make much money. But man, the money I got here, I'm going to spend it. And the things I'm going to talk about might be ungodly. So when he talks to believers, he's going, you got to control your speech. And here's the library. This is a shot of the front of the library of Celsus, which is actually built after Paul. But I want to show you that this is one of the greatest libraries in ancient history. And so this is right here in Ephesus. And so like I said, many philosophers came through here. As you're walking through there, you would see, what are the important things about this city? They make a lot of money. They care about being intelligent. They want to be well, spoken of. And this was an evidence of how Ephesus viewed themselves as a very cosmopolitan, upscale city. When you get into areas like this, you realize that, wow, speech matters. Things you say matters. How you speak matters. In a secular culture like this. And now Paul's going to say, it doesn't just matter to the culture, it actually matters to God. How you speak matters to God. Paul now relates how the new life of Jesus should look in the believer's life. The mouth is the main communicator of a person's values and desires. And it shouldn't be used for corrupting talk. So look at this. Look at Ephesians 4. Ephesians 4:29. Let no corrupting talk. I told you to circle corrupting. It's the Greek word there that means like putrid. It means like decaying. So if you've ever been around something that's dying, something that's been a roadkill or something like that, or you walk up to like an animal that's dying, or if you ever worked in a morgue, bodies start to just decay. The way God made us, we have a life inside of us. And when our soul leaves, it's really the thing that kind of keeps our body going. So the heart stops, the brain stops waving, and all of a sudden the body starts to implode, so to speak, and the cells start to blow up and destroy. The body just starts to devolve, so to speak. And the word there means putrid, like something that's disgusting. It says, let no disgusting, putrid stuff come out of your mouth. That's what corrupting talk means. So when he says, what you speak about should be godly, and would Jesus say these things in this way that I'm saying them? So as you view your own speech, is this the way God would interact in the world? If God was texting this thing, would he text this? Or is it just putrid? Is it like picking up a dead animal and going, hey, check this out? Blech. Look at this dead animal leg. People go, whoa, 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 whoa. What is that? It's kind of the idea of when you speak, does vomit come out of your mouth? You ever been around a puking baby? Or some of you guys that just had kids that just went through the flu that we had the last couple months? You know, and you're talking to your kid, and like, oh, you know, baby, everything, oh, damn, I'm so sorry. Oh, gosh, what just happened? Go over there, go to mom, right? Go puke on mom. And that's the idea. That's the idea, is in the same way you don't want to be puked on, your speech should be giving life and love to other people, not putrescence. Paul says this, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth. What's corrupting talk, Pastor? I'll tell you. Number one is lying. Some of you guys are such pathological liars, you don't even know if you're telling the truth anymore. Some of you guys that go, are you a liar? Some of you guys are such liars, you lie about not lying. I don't lie. No, I've never done that. Lying is such a second nature to some of us, we don't even realize we do it. Because we live in a culture of lying. We live in a culture of filters. We present ourselves as we really aren't. We live in a culture of ripping something off the internet and putting it in our report, and it's not even our own research. We plagiarize. We live in a culture where it's so easy to present yourself as something you're not, or speak about something you have no knowledge of, or share something that might not even be true. We call it fake news. Actually, it's called lying. It's not fake news, it's lying. If you say something that you don't even know is true, you're lying about it. Because you're speaking with authority on something you have no idea about. You're leading someone else to believe something that might not even be true. So Paul says this, speak the truth. Speak the truth, but speak it lovingly. Christians should be speaking the truth. If you lie consistently, sometimes we don't even know we're lying because it's so second nature to us. My encouragement to you is you got to get new speech. And part of getting new speech is tell the truth. Stop lying. The second part of not puking up on other people is negativity. How many of you guys are negaholics in here? Everything's negative. Oh, don't you love this? Oh, the rain. Oh, gosh. Oh, the freeway. Oh, gosh. You know, online might be the greatest example of being negaholics in the whole world. Because when you like watch Temecula Talk or, Marietta Talk or like some of our local things, it's like everything's the worst. What are these booming things that happen? Booming going around. My cat can't sleep because of this booming that's happening at Pendleton or whatever. And like all the military people are like, that's the sound of freedom, sweetie. That's the sound of freedom. Right? So watch. The majority of things is just your view of it. Very few things are pure evil that everyone should be against and negative about. Very few things are like, this is pure evil. Of course, this is going to be negative for everybody. Those are very few things. The majority of things are just things you don't like. So what we do is, because we don't like something, we talk negatively about it. Did you really think that was great? I didn't really think that was too good. Out come our chunks, right? Online. Oh, that wasn't that great. She didn't look that good. No, I thought it was horrible. That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life. The world's spinning out of orbit. I can't even believe how gross that was, right? And it's like, we get in this culture of like, my view is God's view. So the things I don't like are pure evil. Or the things I like are pure good. And if you don't like it, you're stupid. Right? We live in that culture of just negativity. And I want to make something clear to you. If you happen to be a negaholic, where you view everything from a negative all the time, understand this. Negativity doesn't breed positive things. Ready? I'm going to say it again in case you're slow. Negativity doesn't breed positive things in your life. Because here's oftentimes what we do. We want to be negative because we want to get our point across, and we're assuming because we get our point across, they're going to change. Oh, you're so stupid. All of a sudden, that doesn't make me go, you know what, you're right, I am kind of dumb. Thanks for sharing. I'm going to get better because of your input in my life. Negativity brings negativity into your life. Just be clear. If you're a negative person, if you have negative interactions, understand people will breed negativity back into your life. You'll be amazed how, even if you don't like what's going on, if you can speak positively or supportively of something, unless it's evil, you'll be amazed how people go, you know what? I appreciate that. I appreciate your input into my life. People hate negative people. People love people that speak truth and love into their lives. People respond to that. We're built to respond to the good parts of life. We are built to repel against negative things or people. But if you're a negative person and you're repelling people, understand that's not the Spirit of God. There are some things everyone needs to be negative about because they're just pure evil. They're against God. But that's not everything in the world. And gossip. We live in a culture of gossip where we share things that don't need to be shared. It's none of our business, but we make it our business because we want to be able to say something or have other people go, wow, tell me more about that. You need to kill 3 things basically in your life speech-wise: lying, negativity, and gossip. You can control those 3 things, man, you're halfway to Jesus in our culture. And Ephesus was the same as our culture. They struggle with the same exact things we struggle with. Let me encourage you with this. Ready? Wives, if you're married, speak sweetly to your husbands. I know he can be hard. I know he can be a total loser. I know there are things you remember that he did to you back in 1948, before the war. Okay? Women keep a list and it never goes away. Okay? You're going to be in a nursing home someday, and she's going to be like, no, you always do that. No, baby, I've never done that. No, I remember when you picked me up for a date in that Model T back in 1912, and you said my hair looked ratty. I remember that. Baby, you don't even have hair anymore, so don't worry about it. Well, the point I'm making is that's because you're negative about everything. It's like, understand this. When it leaves a man's mouth, it never goes away. Okay? So here's what I'm encouraging you, ladies. Okay? Ladies, listen to me. Use your words to build up your husband rather than tear him down. Tearing down your husband does no good to your marriage. The things you really want out of your husband, you will not get when you sow negativity and tell him, continually remind him of his faults. Okay? I have no fear that my wife will ever hit me. I live in no fear that my wife will someday thump me with her fists. I live in no fear, 0 of it. I go to sleep at night, I don't worry at all about my wife hitting me, at all, ever. And if she ever did hit me, I just go, what was that? I don't care, right? But here's the thing. Most men don't live in fear of their wives unless they're like professional MMA fighters or something. They can lay a thump on somebody, and even then it's like, might be a good battle. But in reality, men don't live in fear of ladies coming and punching them. But I tell you what, a woman's words can destroy a man's heart. So one of the areas of strength and weakness for femininity is that women battle with words and thumbs. So what you see oftentimes online is typically females either really going after somebody or tearing somebody down. I hated the way she looked. I can't even believe she did that. What are those booms? My cat can't sleep. Kick your cat out. Very, very rarely, actually, do you see a lot of verbal negativity from men, even online, as far as the sexes go. So let me encourage you with this, ladies, because words can be used for warfare. Ladies is very little physical confrontation. It's more emotional confrontation, and that comes through using words. For men, guys, if you're married, speak lovingly to your wife. Build her up with your words, because you will destroy your wife with your words. She will take that to her heart, and she will remember it forever. Most men things just go twink. Men things just go twink, twink, twink. It's kind of off men. They're just like, did I even say that 5 minutes ago? Yeah, you did. But a woman's heart is deep water, and you will hurt her, and you will hurt her for forever. She'll forgive you, but you will hurt her. My encouragement to you men is be encouraging with your speech. I know she's failed you. I know there are things that irritate you and that you're hurt about. But negativity will not bring the goodness in your wife out. Build godliness in your wife's heart. And that often comes through speech. Women respond to speech. Men respond to visual, and women respond to how they're spoken to or how they feel about how they're connecting with somebody. It's just the differences between masculinity and femininity. So speech is huge, is what I'm saying. Speech goes to your soul. Speech goes to your soul. You can break an arm and go, and it'll fix itself. But things that are spoken often stay with you forever. There are things in here that you're hurt about that people said to you like in middle school. And you're like 150 years old in a wheelchair going, I can't believe they said that about me in 6th grade. Why is that? You've healed from stuff you've hurt physically, but there's stuff that people have said about you from 50 years ago that you still remember. Speech is big. If Jesus is in your heart, you need to speak differently. Because out of your heart comes your speech. Speak of the things of God. Build your wife up, build your husband up. If you're not married yet, be known as a woman of God that speaks positive things, that speaks godly things. Be known as a young man of God that speaks godly things. And here's the principle. Ready? The easiest evaluation, if God has entered the heart, is from what exits the mouth. Woo! That's tough for some of us to see. Because when we evaluate our speech or our text, we go, dude, I'm garbage. I need to clean that up. I puke over a lot of people. Let me encourage you. Be a man or woman of good speech. Tell the truth, but tell it in love. And number one, if you're going to be a follower of God, you need new speech. And number two, you need new anger. Where's all my angry people at? Oh yeah, here we go. Every time something goes wrong, what? Stupid. God. What happened? The milk. The milk? What are you talking about? Dude, the milk. Can you not see? Somebody put the milk in the refrigerator the wrong way. The handle's in the back. So sick and tired of this place, nobody can arrange the milk right. Get the kids. We're going to have a family meeting about the stinking milk. Dude, whoa. Like, these are the things we're getting mad about now? Like, milk handle direction? For some of us, speech is a real issue. For others of us, we live angry, short-fused lives. And we're just waiting for somebody to set us off because we have pent-up anger that we just need to blow off. And God says this to you. If anger is an area you struggle in, when you get angry, you say things you don't mean, you trash things you shouldn't, you kick the cat, which is an appropriate form of getting rid of your... Just kidding. JK, just kidding, cat people. So understand this. If you're an angry person, anger, watch this. This is going to surprise some of you. You've never heard this in church before. There is appropriate anger. There is godly anger. Anger is natural. So let me show you the difference between godly anger and ungodly anger. Anger is a natural emotional reaction to something not being the way it ought to be. So watch, when you see something that's not the way it ought to be, the angle of the handle of milk, somebody not letting you merge on the freeway. Can I? Yeah. and they speed up. Oh, God! You give them the California wave as they go by. But you got an orchard sticker on the back. Careful. Right? And it's like, dude, my tax money paid for this freeway. This is my lane, and I want to merge. Stupid. Can I get over now? Oh, no, not again? Whoa. Wow. These are the things we get mad about in our culture? Somebody doesn't let you merge? Like, is this the level that we've sunk ourselves to? This is the irritation that we have? This is the level of rage we have because things just didn't work out on the freeway? Watch. Anger is a natural emotional reaction to things not being the way that we view them as they ought to be. You should have let me merge. The milk should be better so I can grab it easier. So anger's natural, but is it godly or ungodly? And that's what Paul talks about here. The difference between righteous anger and sinful anger is who is deciding what ought to be? God or me? Here we go. Ready? I'm going to help you. Angry people, get ready. Don't get mad when I tell you this. I don't have to listen to that crap. Oh man, that's nothing. Righteous anger says this. Here are the things God gets angry about. Let me get mad about those things. Here are the things that I get mad about. These are the things that can be ungodly if I get angry about them. Let me give you an example. Merging on the freeway. Does God care if you get over in that lane? No, he does not care one bit. However, the way you react to that person can show ungodliness in your heart. Because things aren't the way they ought to be, which is, I want to get in that lane. Godliness is this. Godly anger is this. Somebody abuses your wife or molests your kid. Watch, anger is righteous because anger rouses you out of apathy. I don't really care if that person gets abused. I don't really care if something happens to her. I don't really care. I'm just going to watch TV. Anger rouses you to go take care of something. So anger has an appropriate response, but oftentimes we use anger because it's things that we care about that God doesn't even care about. So unrighteous anger says, these are the things I'm mad about, and I just rage about it, but they're not godly. So I sin against other people because I abuse them with my anger rather than restraining myself about things that God doesn't care about. And what's sad is sometimes we don't get angry about the things that God gets angry about. Because we want to be God to ourselves, we just make up our own rules and go, things aren't my way, so I'm going to get mad. So watch, anger is appropriate, but you need to have new anger in your life. If you're just mad about everything and you just abuse things and people and animals because you just can't control yourself, understand that Jesus has to rule over your emotional state. There's no part of our lives that God doesn't rule over. And so when you feel rage coming on, you got to take a breath, son, and go, does God really care about this? Nope. So why am I caring so much about this? I need to restrain myself. Should I really threaten my wife? No. Should I threaten my kids? No. And here's the principle. Righteous anger is thoughtful and primarily produces correction and protection. Let this be a principle for your angry people. You want to know what righteous anger does? It primarily promotes these two things. It's thoughtful. It isn't just right off the handle rage. So if you're just a right off the handle rage person, understand that's not godly. So what does righteous anger look like? It looks like this. I see something that God cares about and I go do that thing. And what's that thing? It's usually protection or correction. Here's the way correction looks. So growing up in my house, my son, he did not respond to, Caleb, that was bad. Go sit in the corner and think about what you did. He's like, cool, I'll just go sit in this corner and didn't change him at all. Or Caleb, that really hurt my feelings. You should think about acting differently next time. Caleb's like, I don't really even care what you think. So raising my son, because he was like my wife, was very difficult in, she's not in this service, she was in the first service, so I can say things like that. So now, raising Caleb, like all of us, so all of us parents, it's tough to raise kids, right? You're raising another sinful person like you in a house. So when you pack a bunch of sinners together, there's going to be friction, there's going to be problems. So here's what we had to do, is Daddy had to correct my son. And like I've said, I had to apply the hand of knowledge to the seat of understanding. Many times with my son, because he was unresponsive to any other kind of correction. Now watch, there's a difference between spanking and abuse. What's the difference between spanking and abuse? Between pummeling your kid and punishing your kid. It's this difference. Does the child know what the correction was for? If you're just raging because something didn't work out, even if it's a righteous thing like rebellion, then you're just getting out your wrath because you're irritated. Correction says this: I'm going to inflict you with pain, but it's going to be measured pain so that you understand that this behavior can't go on. So our culture goes, no, we can't do any of that. Understand, sometimes pain is the only way some people get to know the right road. And we now live in a culture where we've let young males go unrestrained, unrestricted, grow up in homes where everything's fine and everybody gets a ribbon, and they just run around going, I'm kind of untouchable. You can't touch me. Everything's the way I want it. And we see our whole culture train wrecking because nobody has self-discipline. So not everybody has to be corrected like that. Some people is like, please don't do that. Can you hurt my feelings? Like, okay, I won't do that. But for some, righteous correction will bring about righteous attitude and hopefully a right change of mind. So there's a difference between abuse, I'm going to just hit something, and correction. So sometimes anger can bring about abuse, which is ungodly, or it can bring about correction, which is godly. Because there is a right motive to anger when it's either corrective or protective. Somebody's messing with one of your kids. Righteous anger says, don't do that anymore. I'm going to stop you. It's the kind of things that God cares about. So watch, for those of us that are angry people, let me encourage you. That's what you want to go through your head. Does God care if I merge over here? No. Relax. Oh, no, you go first. Come on. No, it's fine. No. I'll just get off on the next exit. No. Oh, I love you too. No, it's fine. Oh, you're like, hey, thank you. Listen, ready? You want a Jesus fuse. Many of our fuses are like this. Bing! We're off and running. You want a Jesus fuse, which is like, it's a long, slow burn before we get to anger. You can't control your feelings, but you can control your outlet for them. Ready? You're like, I can't control how I feel. Okay, true. I'm not saying you can control how you feel. What I am saying is this: you can control the outlet for your feelings. You can't control how you feel, but you can control what you do. You absolutely can. So if Jesus runs your heart, he also can control your actions. It's hard, but you can do it. And lastly, so new speech, new anger, and lastly, new generosity. Because of the disparity of wealth and opportunity in Ephesus, theft was common and often expected. But because God designed humans to have satisfaction and value in laboring for something and the resulting finances from working, theft short-circuits God's design and sins against others. Ready? I'm going to help you. Hey, people that steal in this room, which is almost everybody. You go, I don't steal anything. Have you paid for all the music that's on your iTunes? You ever pirated anything off the internet? Didn't quite pay for the whole license from Microsoft? Took that thing from work, that stapler that you said you're going to bring back? You're like, dude, I work for Apple. You think they miss a stapler? No, they don't, but God cares about your character. Here's my encouragement to you. Stop stealing. We live in a culture of obscene wealth. You're not stealing food, chances are. Stop stealing. Be a man or woman of God. Be a person that makes finances. Why? So you can bless other people. That's why the Bible says, do something so that you can make finances to bless yourself and your family if you have one, but ultimately to bless other people too. Your finances, when you make finances, are not just all about you. You control your speech, you control your anger, and you control your finances. Because the money you make isn't yours. God has allowed you to make that money. It's okay if it blesses you and your family, but don't just let it bless you. Your money should not be a one-way stop at you. How can I burn this money on myself? When you make finances, a portion of it goes to God, which is the support of your church, the support of your pastors, so that they can continue to build into your life. I didn't become a pastor so I can fly a jet, although I can't wait for one someday. I became a pastor because I want you to be more like God. See, all of our finances don't belong to us. They belong to Jesus. If they bless us, great, but they should be blessing more than just us. So if you're a thief, especially in Ephesus, where if you're on the lower end of the scale, it was known that you would just steal stuff. But Paul says, stop stealing stuff. Get an honest job. Make a real living so that you can support yourself and other people. Stop living off of other people. Be the kind of person that can be generous because you got a real job. Stop fighting aliens online and go get a job. If you can make money playing video games, God bless you, tithe. But if you can't, then go get a real job. Ready? Here's the principle. Money is made to be a blessing, both to the laborer and to others. God is generous to us so that we can be generous to others. Generosity is a key when Jesus dwells in your heart. If you don't share any of your money or any of your time, everything's all about me, understand that God is not ruling your heart. I don't know what else to tell you. You're God to yourself. I do everything I want to do. I make all my own calls, done. Okay, well that's idolatry. That means you idolize yourself. If everything's always about you, you idolize yourself. Look at these houses in Ephesus. Let me give you an idea of the wealth that was in Ephesus. These are the houses. See the bays down there? You see the library right there. As you were walking up, you'd see the sweet houses up on the hill. Here's the interior of some of these houses. You can go visit Ephesus today. And here's the interior shot of some of these houses. They were super marble, ornate, nicer than some of even the houses that we have. Even in our day, they would get these hand-painted murals. Show me the other picture. Inside of bedrooms, they were just dual story. Beautiful, beautiful homes. And this is the elite. And if you were super poor, you would go, I'm never going to be like that. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to steal from them instead. So theft was understood in that day. You don't make money? Go steal it, because you're never going to get that kind of money. But Paul says to the thieves in the church, stop stealing. Be a man of God. Pay your licenses, pay your country, do the right thing. Why? Because God will bless you if you have integrity. If you're living for yourself and you go, I'm going to make all my own calls, why would God bless rebellion? When you go home today, I'm asking you for 3 things. If you're married, speak sweetly to your spouse. Build them up rather than tear them down. If you're an angry person, control your anger. Take a breath, take a beat, and go, does God care about this? Nope, it's not godly, so I'm going to relax. If it's not corrective or protective, don't get angry about it. And last, live with generosity. If you don't have a job, go get a job. If you're having struggle trying to find a job, keep on praying, keep on knocking on those doors, because God will get you a job. God wants you to be productive. Be productive so you can be generous, because God is generous to us.